Hey guys, Nick here from Pro Wrestling Unlimited, bringing you Fightful.com's Fightful Wrestling Weekly. Joining me, I have Tim. Tim, how you doing?
Pretty good. It's good to be here with you this week talking pro wrestling. I think the first topic we're going to talk about is Emma, well, actually, real name Tanille Dashwood, and her transition from the WWE to, I guess you could say, the Indies, because her 90-day no-compete did expire at the beginning of this month, and we have seen her pop up with a couple different promotions now.
Yeah, definitely. She popped up, and I know most notably was Ring of Honor as part of the Women of Honor tournament to win that, be the first ever Ring of Honor Women's Champion. Now, what I want to ask you is, how many women that have been released by WWE gone on to continue to wrestle?
That's a very good question, because when you really look at it, I'm trying to think. I know Maria made a good name for herself on the Indies, Maria Kanellis, before she came back to WWE. You know, she did whatever she was doing in the Indies, got with her husband, Mike Kanellis. They were a big act in Impact, and then Ring of Honor, and then TNA. But other than, Emma now or Tanille Dashwood, I'm trying to think, the last female other than Emma to be released, Summer Rae was released on the same day, and she hasn't done anything. Rosa Mendez was released in 2017, and she didn't do anything.
Even Marie doesn't even wrestle anymore.
She's been acting.
Yeah, definitely.
Like her whole thing is she wants to now be like The Rock, go from wrestling to mainstream acting and whatnot. But you had a good point there on who was that last female to continue her career, because Sean wrote here in the weekly update, he said that where was it? WWE released many women in the past who simply just stopped wrestling. But the odd thing, he says, but the odd thing about me hearing this is there was never any negativity or questioning on Emma's work ethic.
Definitely, and I mean, clearly she is a big name, and she drew a really big crowd for WrestlePro, and like I said, in Ring of Honor, she had that debut that people went crazy over, so she's definitely a big draw, and she's not a bad wrestler by any means. She was good, she was hardworking, and she was willing to learn, so that's why I think I'm really excited to continue to watch Emma in the independent scene. I think that's going to be really good for her. Excuse me, Tanille Dashwood? Tanille Dashwood.
I know I don't know if it was this week or over the weekend, I saw on Instagram she did a match against Rachel Ellering for Lance Storm, and Lance Storm was the referee, and that's who trained both of them, was Lance Storm. So it was kind of like a harken back to the beginning of their career.
And I will, side mention, I will be attending a show that she's actually wrestling at Bar Wrestling on February 22nd, my birthday, in Los Angeles, California.
Nice.
Definitely.
I mean, Emma, she's gonna do really well for herself, I believe, on the independent scene. She can. I don't know if she can be that, Candice LeRae that we've lost from the Indies, because Candice LeRae is the woman that she'll go out there and she'll have the men's matches and the bloody matches. And I don't know if Emma's gonna wrestle men or do the job as far as Bladen and whatnot, like we've seen Candice, but I think she can be on a level of like a Rachel Ellering or a Tessa Blanchard.
Yeah, Tessa Blanchard is also one of the surprising names that you wouldn't picture being that Candice LeRae type, but she's definitely a hardcore competitor. So I definitely think the independent scene has some great women, so we're going to see some great matches out of Tanille Dashwood.
Now, with her being so, this is the last thing I'm going to ask you on the Emma situation, and with her being so, I guess you could say, fresh on the independent scene, you see her maybe winning that Woman of Honor tournament, since she may be, thinking about it, looking at all the women that are in that, the most, I don't want to say most successful because she was in WWE, but probably has the best in-ring talent.
Now, I'd say, I would say yes, for the sense of, hey, it's a WWE name, we can give some credibility to the title. I'll give you a yes and no. Yes, because she can give some credibility to that title as a first-time holder, solidifying it as a title for workers. But the reason I want to say no is because she is fresh out of WWE. She is still brand new. I wonder if fans would see that as she could just walk in and get this type thing.
But that is kind of what they did with Cody.
And we can look at it as that's exactly what they did with Ronda.
WWE?
Yeah, she walked in, she pointed the sign, she's probably going to get a Mania match.
Well, of course she's going to get a Mania match. We've seen that's a whole completely different thing. It's not like they're giving Ronda the first ever, women's championship. It would be like
that's true.
It would be like Ronda coming in and winning that first women's elimination chamber or winning that first women's Royal Rumble.
Right. But I see I see Tanille Dashwood, if she was to win that title. I think she would bring some great credibility to it. She would be super happy to defend that everywhere, and I'm excited to see not only her wrestle live, but to continue her independent career.
Oh yeah, for sure. So Sean on Fightful.com recently interviewed former WWE superstar Raven, and we're gonna play a little clip here from that interview on Raven talking about which was one of my favorite matches from WrestleMania 17, his triple threat hardcore match against Kane and The Big Show.
Good match.
And then, but the best part is I came within millimeters of turning off the power to the entire building.
Oh no!
Yeah, there's one of the crew guys came up to me later and said, "Do you have any idea how close you came?" I go, "What do you mean?" Because you were within millimeters of running over the cable that supplied power to the entire building.
Oh, man. So how does, like, a Vince McMahon or somebody react to that spot that had been planned out and not going the way that it was intended? Because it seemed like you recovered quickly.
I think because I let myself get run over by Kane, I think that changed the scorecard really quick because the bump looked so dangerous.
Yeah.
That I guess they forgot about it.
It's like when you hit your brother and you let him hit you to make it okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Continuing on, let's talk a little bit about the co-branded pay-per-views that has been talked about a little bit throughout Twitter and throughout the internet. People saying, hey, it's going to go back to co-branded pay-per-views that are going to be a little bit longer. But as of February 13th, that is a Tuesday, that is the day before Valentine's Day, no WWE superstars had been told that they were going back to the co-branded pay-per-views. So, Tim, what would you rather see? Would you rather see those longer co-branded pay-per-views or some shorter single-branded pay-per-views?
Now, there's two ways to think about this. You can think of it as, well, you get the co-branded pay-per-views. So, one, you're going to get more big stars. You're going to get the big matches from Raw, the big matches from SmackDown. So, there's the positives there. Now, if you don't do the co-branded and you're only doing Raw pay-per-views and SmackDown pay-per-views, then you have more guys from each roster getting opportunities to be on the pay-per-view itself. But here's something I actually read this week. The thinking going forward is if you do the co-branded pay-per-views, you ultimately can't do, every Raw title and every SmackDown title on each show. So what they may go forward doing is television may now be getting more championship matches. Like we have seen on Raw, they've done a lot of tag title matches on Raw.
IC title matches as well.
IC title matches as well, yes. So maybe, you're going into, say, No Mercy pay-per-view, just throwing out a name. And you have, the Universal World IC and both tag title matches, but and the women's titles or something, but you're leaving out like the US title. So you can build up a US title match really strong to hopefully pop a good rating for SmackDown, because that could be the other thing. You start putting these title matches on TV, those can help pop a good rating, and with WWE, they're gonna start doing their television negotiations here soon. If their ratings can maybe even just slightly go up from having title matches on the show, that would look good for them when they're negotiating new contracts, whether that's still with NBC Universal to stay on USA, or it's with like Fox to go to Fox and Fox Sports 1.
Well, let me hit you with this then. If we continue to see titles like the US title be defended on SmackDown and not so much pay-per-views anymore, is that going to diminish whatever's left, whatever credibility is left of that U.S. title, which in my opinion hasn't actually had credibility since 2015 when John Cena held it?
I mean, I get what you're saying there, and I'm not saying that only the mid-card and the lower level, because like we saw back in, what was it, October, November, when AJ won the WWE Championship in Manchester on SmackDown from Jinder Mahal. So, I mean, I think it just really just all depends on what the storyline going forward at that time is, what championship matches from which show is going to be on the pay-per-view, and what they feel is maybe like a big drawing match that could help a TV rating. Because the thinking with the whole, a title match to help the TV rating could be, well, that's a good title match, but it's not going to really help pop a rating, so we'll throw that on the pay-per-view and we'll pull this match off for television instead. What can benefit for which type of show, a pay-per-view network special or a television rating?
Definitely, and I think either way, I think personally, I think co-branded pay-per-views are just the way to go. Cut some costs. It won't be overkill. You're not going to be having to watch 2 pay-per-views a month. You're not going to have to request 2 days off of work. You're not going to have to devote that much time to so many pay-per-views a month. You're not going to get overkilled. You're not going to get tired of watching it. You're going to get one solid pay-per-view a month that's going to be enjoyable, that's going to be fun to watch, and I definitely think that's going to be better in the outcome.
All right, so that's going to do it for this week's Fightful Wrestling Weekly. You can find myself and Nick on Pro Wrestling Unlimited every single day on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at PWUnlimited. And you can also follow Fightful on Twitter at FightfulOnline. And go over to Fightful.com for all your latest pro wrestling and MMA news.